Now we are finally done. We'll make a Chara folder, like a character folder. We'll put in Leon inside. Oh boy. I'll make a weapon folder. Let's call it weapon. And now let's go back to this key art that we saw at the beginning of the video. So let's observe this. So first off, he has the SG-09 handgun, so we're going to look for that. And we're also going to recreate this pose, and that's about it. Okay, so now I have Leon's Silver Ghost SG-09 gun in here, so now we can be accurate, kind of. So we are going to not actually use anything on the... We're gonna make the bone small. But we're not actually gonna use this directly. If we look here, we can see that Leon is holding it with his right hand, because, well, most 90% of the characters. I'm pretty sure the only character in this series who doesn't hold their gun with the right hand or the weapon is Sheva. So, yeah, let's not worry about that. We're going to look for, in this bone, we're going to look for the R weapon bone. We're going to look for that. And then, with the gun, we're going to go here to object constraints. We're going to add these two constraints. So we're going to select the armature, and the bone will be our weapon, or whatever bone you need to carry this for. So yeah, now it is going to copy the rotation and the location of the bone on the left. How are we doing on time? Oh boy, it's probably my longest video. It's going to take a bunch. So now I'm going to add a camera, and then I'm going to add a light. You can organize this however you want. This is how I usually organize my renders. I am going to just add a camera now. So I'm going to copy the exact aspect ratio of this. So I'm going to go to the very top pixel right here and right click. So you see that 454 by 499. So I'm going to take that, and I'm going to multiply all of that by 5. Right? 499 times 5. And there. We have the same aspect ratio, just 5 times larger. And the reason why I use Blender, modern Blender old Blender is for this exact reason, so I can have higher quality renders. So now, I'm going to bring the old thing into more prominent view. So I'm going to bring it outside. So we're going to sort of angle the thing. But before I do that, I'm going to start with the viewport display, composition guides, and I'm going to use rule of thirds. Even though we can just match the direction of Leon, I think it's always best to do it this way. I'm going to rotate him this way. And from here, I'm going to make it like this. The focal length. I'm going to bring this up here. And yeah, I think I like that. So yeah. Just line him up with one of these lines. That's how I use the rule of thirds. But no, we just kind of have to understand how his pose works. Now, this is 2D artwork. I just wanted to point that out. So certain things are probably going to be a little bit hard to recreate in 3D. So we're going to do all of this in the solid mode first. So we're first going to find our hip bone, and we are going to All right. So I am not done yet, but I want to start on the lighting. So first, let's just match the base. Very, very, very basic light setup. So I'm going to make the world color just straight black. The lights, I'll add an area light because to me, this light seems kind of soft. I don't want it to be too harsh, but you don't have to be super duper, uh, you don't have to be super duper, accurate. You just kind of have to get how far do you really want to go with your accuracy? You just got to know that before you really get into this. Remember when I mentioned light linking earlier? Well, if I go into Blender Cycles, I don't know if this is going to work. Please work. Please. This is where that light linking thing I was talking about will actually work in your favor. Now, so now I'm going to just add the, I'm just going to hide the 00 mesh folder. I'm going to hide everything else, the weapon, the light, and the, so I'm going to select all that. Now I'm going to unhide all that stuff. And I'm going to go to the point lights and I'm going to make a new light linking. Boom. Now the only thing affected by the light in this situation is the hair in the eyes, the hair in the head, is the hair in the whatever. I'll make this like 5. Well, I won't because I'm going back to EV. I just wanted to show this off. And also, if you're a modern Blender user, this also works for EV, so you guys are lucky. The only thing stopping me is my inability to render old. So now you can move this at any point and get whatever desired image you want. But if you're not using light linking and you're like me, you're kind of just stuck. If you don't have old new Blender, you just use spotlights. That's how you deal with this stuff. It's that simple. So now you just get same color. And now I'm going to make some minor adjustments to the pose. Okay, so as you've probably been noticing, I've been having issues trying to get this area to look right. So, in the event that you have something like that, just Control J, join all the meshes together, and then just sculpt. Before you do that, though, add a shape key. Key 1 should be this, and I'd say you should probably put this on rest position, just so you can have that extra layer of. So I'm just gonna like paint all over this, and now put it back into pose position, and see how that looks. Absolutely terrible. Okay. I'm just gonna hide this for now. So yeah. So yeah. So, so yeah, whenever in we're having issues with your posing, listen, shape keys will always be there. So please make use of them. They're really helpful in getting the look you need. And I'd say that they're more helpful in a lot of situations than a lot of things, really. They especially help with PS, with, not PS, what was I saying? They especially help with RE2R face bones. So I'm going to keep that up there. The holster is going to go around, it's going to reach here. Gonna make it go out and forward like this. And yep, looks pretty good to me. And yeah, So now, as you've also probably been seeing, I've been having issues matching this, and this is why I urge you to use light linking if you are on Blender 4 or Blender 4.3 or Blender 5 or you're a Cycles user, because really just getting the lighting with just default lights is really difficult, at least in my experience. So I really, really, really recommend trying your best. But if you can't quite get it right, I say the best course of action for you isn't to match it one to one, but to make something that kind of resembles it to a decent level. Doesn't have to be perfect, but just has to be good enough. So as I continue suffering, I want to make this clear once again. You don't need to have the lighting be exactly the same. As you can see, I'm having a very hard time trying to even get it to look similar to what I want. I don't use space like now having the points. So up here. Now you have to and the other space away. I say fill light to just the action of that. Now you can add your rims. This rim is primarily for not your diffuse. It's not to add to your base color, but it's more to give a specific look. Going to add shadow to that, and the look in question is a bluish light. You can add as many of these as you want, just sort of give it a sort of specific looking 5. And now you can have a fill light at the very bottom, kind of like this. You don't have to use these, um, but I like to because at the end of the day, I am still a Blender Eevee truther. So yeah. Also, if you ever need to, don't be ashamed of moving these, translating these back if you ever actually have to. But I say, in a good majority of the case, you never really actually need to. So I'd say avoid it unless necessary. And I think in this case, I'd say it's necessary. So yeah. In Eevee, you kind of have to fake a whole lot of stuff. Now I'm going to add a rim light at the back. Going to have it have a shadow. And I think lighting wise, we're pretty much complete. This can pass as the final render. Now there's a bunch of awkwardness when you rotate it. And if you want perfect posing on all angles, you're going to have to account for that. But for this specific angle, you don't need to care. If you've ever seen those videos where, uh, if you've ever seen screenshots of 3D artists' viewports, you'll know that they like that a lot of them will use stuff like this. So yeah, it's okay if you want to just have one angle for your pose, but yeah, I'm gonna alter the lighting a little bit. Actually, I said I was done, but I don't think so. Let's see how we look like with our base points. It's our base color. So yeah, I'm going to alter the lighting a little bit more. And once I'm finished, let's just hide all the other lights. See what we can use. And I'd say roughly around here is a good time to put it off. And I can now delete the first point light that was there strictly to hide the. Now for this point light, for this area light, I'd say put it around here. Okay, how about what I'd do personally is I put it around here to the back, turn off the shadow so that it gets reflected around everywhere. Because if you do this, you know what? This actually makes a more desirable result, in my opinion. So, yeah, let's shade this blue. It's actually not too much blue. And now let's start adding extra lights to sort of give the same feeling as the render that we're trying to recreate. So, yeah. So I'm going to try to have the light be the same level. There's a problem with that. Blend. We're going to blend it. We're going to try and blend it. Area. I'm going to re-evaluate this. Move it over here. Anyways, I say now is a good time to start posing the hands. Yeah, these pesky little things. So I'm gonna like contort Leon's other hand in a very, very uncomfortable way so I can get this out. Yeah, there's no chance anybody's doing that. So I'm going to change the transform orientation to local to make it easier to pose. I think I talked about this in episode 1. Now we have 1, we have 2, and we have 3. So now using the transforms, I will start to create a fist, make it a lot more even. And then after I finish creating the fist, I will, you can't see the actual right hand outside of like the right finger that's holding the trigger. But yeah, So from here, we can actually make some adjustments to the position of the gun so that I can pull it in a little bit more and just make it so that on this side, it's a little bit nicer to see. So then when we're done, I'll actually bring this a little back, bring us back a little. Then and you can kind of see here that you can see Leon's other finger, but since the majority of that finger is going to be covered by the other hand, the left hand, I'm just going to pose it in whatever way I want, just so it's not easier to view, but you know what I mean. Now we can pose the left arm the way I wanted. Yay! After who knows how long I've been working on this. Yeah, guys, winters take time. But yeah, I just wanted to remind you guys that um, not everything can be faked. So keep in mind as to what makes the most sense for each different pose and each different angle. Now is the time for compositing. Now, I mentioned earlier that I have a compositor setup. It's in this little thingy. Here's what it looks like on the inside. I have a filter node with brightness and contrast, um, color correction right here. And then I have this to essentially tone map. So from this, you don't have to do all that. That's just what I think looks nice. But I'll say from here, I'm going to use the color balance node to essentially bring out the blues from the, let me do it in the viewport so I can have a direct reference. So we're going to put the compositor here. Let's see it from afar. And let me also just make the thing a little bit softer. So yeah, so far, I like how it looks. Yeah, it's self-glaze. Who the hell ever said self-glaze is a bad thing? We need to deal with them. Okay, we have to have that. So don't worry about the colors of the lights for now. We're just going to alter the values of the lift, the gamma, and the gain. So the lift right here, as you can see what it does, it kind of changes it adds contrast to the image and sort of just, it looks like to me that it's altering the blacks in the image more than it is the dark values in the image more than it is the white values. The gain seems to be just overlaying the color on top of the picture. And gamma alters the gamma of the image. I never use this stuff. I personally dislike using the gamma. So I mainly just keep it to lift and gain. So as you can see, it has kind of a blue tint to it, the whole thing. So I'll give it that. Whoops. A blue boost. We'll have some dark in there. We'll do a filter like this. Well, you don't have to do a filter, but this is just me personally. I'm just showing this off. Here's how I would do the image. So now I'd change the color of the lights to be a little bit more, you know, I forget which one this is. This is the bottom lights. The one at the very bottom that's giving this sort of blue effect. I don't want it to be teal, but I also don't want it to be blue. As you can see, I can make it a little bit dark, a bit bright. I can make it. This is my it's my backlight. I'm gonna make that orange. And you don't have to make them these colors in particular. I'm just choosing this because I like it like that. But yeah, as it is, you have it like this. Well, I'm going to add this light right here. We're essentially doing what I was doing before, just without the. And let's shift spacebar to see it in full screen. And I think I'm satisfied with it, but I want to add ray trace reflections. And there is only one good way to do that in old Blender. You see, Cycles is path traced, and Eevee, modern Eevee, has this stuff already dealt with. But I'm going to add a plane. And this plane is going to But yeah, you're gonna get this volume box and you're gonna put Leon and all your objects, not just Leon. We're gonna put everything in these little squares and you're gonna scale it. Your distance, it can be however much you want. I'll just keep it at the default, 0.3. Fall off, yeah, it doesn't matter, man. The intensity, that also doesn't really matter to me. The resolution is the big thing here. So for resolution, I'll keep it at 4. And then I'm just going to bake indirect lighting. Actually, no, first, before I do any of that, I'm going to have the laser sight model. So I'm just going to import a cylinder. So yeah, I'm going to import a cylinder and I'm going to attach it to the very end of the, so I'm just going to sort of make it so that it matches. Now all I'm going to do is make it so that it would fit inside here. And then now I am going to take this, yep, and I'm going to G, Y, X, Z. Just going to move that all the way, I'm going to move it really far so that you don't see it off. And now I'm going to give that a I'm going to give that a quick material to sort of match the laser sight visual. So as we see here, it's transparent, but it's also emitting light, I think. Well, no shit, it's emitting light, but still, my point is, we are gonna go to we're gonna get an emission BSDF, make it pure red, gonna make it strength. Now we're gonna add a Actually, no, we're not gonna use the emission BSDF. We're gonna use a principled BSDF, so we still get so we get some more control over it. So I'm gonna make the blend mode alpha hashed. And then I'm going to add the emission now, make it full red. I don't think that's going to work, actually. I'm going to change this to alpha blend. So yeah, no, instead of that, we're going to use the tried and true method that we were about to use beforehand. Transparent BSDF, and I'm going to mix shader. Strength is going to be a lot really high. Now we're going to examine this a little bit more, a little bit further. The transparent BSDF will be a little bit more recognizable. Okay, you know what? Forget the laser. Paint over. Paint over. Paint overs are important, guys. Um, I skipped over a crucial part in the material section of this. So, yeah. Your character has wrinkle maps. So in order to In order to get the wrinkle maps right, you are going to, what the hell? Oh no, I don't like that. I'm gonna have to fix that. I don't know what the hell happened to my shit got laced. Okay, do I see my RE mesh? I don't. What the hell? Okay, see here, it should be, I'm going to import, so I'm going to re-import the mesh. This is the mesh's materials from the MDF2 collection of the face. So we're going to copy paste these. Well, we're not, but still. So I'm going to change the MDF load settings to load unused textures. This is important with RE9 models, especially if you want to have the eyes, um, uh, if you want to have all the eye textures imported with the material. So don't worry about unused material properties, but we're just going to apply the active MDF. Nothing happened. Oh, dumbass. And you see that? Leon's flat now, and his eyebrows look like booty butt. Now we have to reset them up. But the good thing about that is, see all these new textures now? These are masks. And they have RGB channels. So if we go into RGB, we can now look at all of these and we can use them to our liking. So, this is where it was before. So I'm going to take all this, get it out the way. We're going to use our skin thing. We're going to put our base DR. We're going to select everything. We're going to put it back to their respective locations. Even though this is poorly organized, yeah, organize them better on your own terms. I'm just not doing that for the sake of the video. But yeah, here are your wrinkle normals. So I implore you to look at the actual texture first before using it. Like for example, here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, well, I'm not going to create, I'm going to use both of these at the same time. So we're going to bring them down. First, let me show you how to combine them. So we're going to put this in the, no, we're not going to put this in the, actually we are. Never mind. Actually, no. For this demonstration, we're not going to do that. We're just going to use a mixed color. I'm going to have an overlay node, and then we're going to put in our wrinkle normal map. We're going to use this one, I guess. And now this determines the intensity of the wrinkle map. And now, remember these? This is what we're going to use. I'll use that, even though you don't need to do that. Not really worth doing anyways. And I'm going to separate color, add shader. We're going to add these on top of each other. And now we're going to use this as our mask. So I'm going to hide this. Yeah, it looks just about right. That should give me what I'm looking for. Yep, And now let's use these ones over here. I'm going to put the NRMR over here. Uh, our second wrinkle map is over here. And now we're going to separate the color. The red channel and the green channel are going to be used in this case. Uh, separate color, and then we're going to use the add node. Use the red channel and the green channel as our mask. And then we're going to do the exact same thing, but for the diffuse, the base color. So we are going to copy this, but instead of an overlay, it's going to be a mix color. And it's going to basically be the exact same thing, except the diffuse textures. So I'm going to take this wrinkle diffuse map 1, which is exactly what we need, and I'm going to put it in the bottom half. And then this is going to now go here, give it some time, boom, and boom. And now we have our base colors and our normal maps pretty much synced up. Wait, no, I don't want this in my volume. I want this in my subsurface base color. So now it's time to have your, now it's time to do some more intricate face posing. I'm going to have these textures. Also, to go in this mode, you have to press Shift and Tab. No, it's for Shift and I don't know what this is. I'm going to write it in the chat. This button, whatever that button is for you. Yeah. So yeah, let's go down. It's Q. It's just, oh my gosh, my Q button really, really doesn't like me. Uh, to go up, it's E. So for this, I'm going to hide my chart and CHA20 mesh. And from here, I'm going to just make some adjustments. Not to be afraid of shorting, just making some adjustments. Don't want to break your heart. Yep. Next time, the nose here. Our nose. Now, just with just other things. Oh boy, oh my days. So yeah, you're just gonna have to wait for this. This also applies to new Blender EV users. So yeah, the only difference, I'm gonna turn on auto bake, is that when I change the intensity, it doesn't matter if it doesn't really matter. Uh, you don't have to rebake on Blender 5. So I'm gonna make it intensity 4. Auto bake my ass. That shit just doesn't work. So let's see if it makes any big of a difference. Doesn't seem to be. I'll change it to 10. I don't want it to be too much, but like at the same time, I want something to be seen. We turn off the compositor. Looks good to me, lighting wise. So, vertical maps, you just got to pose around them. You have your body models, you have basically everything. Now, if you think that your models look a little bit too blocky, easy fix. All you have to do is Alt J. Don't worry about the topology, it's going to look weird. I put all these things on, compare UVs. Finally works! Oh my gosh! And I just make the max face and shape angle to 180. It always works for me. If you're on Blender 5 and like 4.5 and up, you'll have a much better algorithm for this and it will look a lot better, the topology. So you guys are lucky. I have to deal with this shit, unfortunately. But you can get a clean upscale, not upscale, you can get a clean subdivision off of this. And boom, you can do that for any model here. You just Alt J and it saves ops your configuration or whatever. I say turn on use custom normals. Same goes for this, use custom normals. I say just use custom normals in all situations. And boundary smooth when it asks you for this, I say keep corners. In most situations, I think this is the best course of action, especially when subdividing hair. But I'd say the hair in this model doesn't really need subdivision. Same with the face. The face looks pretty good to me. So I think you could get away with just that. And I think you could get away with the fingers and the stuff not being fully grid. What you can't get away with, though, in my opinion, is the actual mesh itself. So this is going to be cause for extra. This is going to be cause for extra sculpting. Once again, you make a new keyframe, and just start going ham on the thing. So yeah, all I really have to do now is just alter certain things, like add lights for the specular, and minor stuff like that. And after that, finally, I can say that we are done. Annoying part about Blender Eevee is that you have to deal with with this tangent method, you have to deal with the exact same. You can't change the specular unless you alter the actual thing itself. Like, you have to alter the position of the tangent anisotropy yourself. I personally don't like doing that, so I don't bother. So yeah, anyways, we are done finally. So, you pretty much everything I use personally. If you have any more questions, ask me in the comments or on my socials. I link them in the description below. As I thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time when I discuss. I'll see you next time when I discuss the MT framework. Yeah, we're moving on to the old games. Yeah. Oh yeah, just to add on to the episode 3. Oh my gosh, you see that I rendered this out, but the proportions I just realized I don't know why it took me until right now to realize the proportions on Leon's body are just completely off whack. Like that's not normal. Like, let me just add another one and just fix that shit up. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh my god, that's instantly just so much better. Okay, I felt the need to share this. I felt the need to do this on cam, like record me doing this, because I really did not want you to, like, assuming you were following everything I was doing one to one, I didn't want you to follow that. Okay? Anyways, yeah, I'm done.